This is the Toyota Alphard converted by Wellhouse. Now Wellhouse have been converting them since 2012 and have been converting Toyotas since 2002. They've converted over 500 Vellfires and Alfards. They're both the same vehicle. Now this particular Alphard is a Series 2 which came out in 2008. It was also called the Series 20. So this has a few updates over the earlier ones. And currently Wellhouse is in Japan looking at the latest models, which are the Series 3, the latest models to come over to the UK, I should say. So we'll include a bit of history detail about this, but we just wanted to really celebrate how good the Alphard is, why Wellhouse are so keen on it, and why it makes such a great camper van. So this is, if you will, the Alphard origin story. So let's take a closer look at some of the details of this vehicle.
Wellhouse started in 2002, and by 2003 they'd already started importing Mazda bongos, going over to sell over 350 of these models. When stock started drying up, they switched to the Toyota Grandvia and Regis models. The Alphard seemed a natural progression. Now, the first generation of Alphard started in 2002, the AH10, Series 10 or first generation model, and featured a 2.4 litre 4-cylinder petrol or a 3-litre V6 engine. Both models were available with 2 or 4-wheel drive, and there was also a hybrid version. The second generation, or the AH20 models, came out in 2008, and that's the model featured mainly in this video. There were two versions of these, interestingly, the Alfard and the Vellfire. This is because in Japan there are two dealer networks, so they had two opportunities to sell the vehicle to the public. Essentially the Vellfire is very similar, but you'll note it has a double headlight at the front and also a double tail light. Some people prefer it because it looks a bit sportier, but underneath they're both the same vehicle. Now the second generation, again, it came with the 2.4 litre petrol engine developing 170 PS, or the 3.5 litre V6 model developing 280 PS. Both were available in 2 or 4-wheel drive. They also did a hybrid version, which Wellhouse don't do because, oddly, for ultra-reliable Toyota, they have a few issues, so they don't import any of those. The third generation of Alphard came out in 2015, meaning that they're now 10 years old, which is when Japanese customers have to face a much stricter Shaken MOT test, so many of them come up for sale. David is in Japan at the time of filming to check these models out, and the most noticeable thing is they have a bit more prominent grille, but should be equally as capable as the current models. The engine lineup, the petrol engine goes up to 2.5 litre, and the original 3.5 litre V6 is also retained, so plenty of choice on engines. These will start being shipped over fairly soon, so check out these models in the coming year.
Now the other thing that's worth mentioning is that Wellhouse are an NCC approved manufacturer. That's the National Caravan Council, the official body that oversees all the quality and standards are met in the leisure vehicle market. So they're an approved converter. It's very important to look for an NCC approved converter, and all the vehicles Wellhouse convert are also classed as motor caravans. So there's no issues getting insurance with them, there's no issues with having to adhere to van speed limits. So that's something that's really well worth noting. Now Wellhouse have been going over to Japan twice a year, to hand-pick vehicles and also meet with their team of buyers over there. And they have a team of people over there constantly sending vehicles back, so they know what's coming and they're looking at trends and they're picking the best vehicles. Equally, that means that if you want a specific vehicle, well, they're only too happy to bring one back for you. So if you want a black four-wheel drive, 280 PS, not a problem, they can source that for you. So that gives you good peace of mind. They've had a long relationship with their buyers in Japan, and you know you're getting a quality hand-picked vehicle, not just any old vehicle that comes from Japan. Now this particular one has the pop-top roof or elevating roof, but they're also going to be offering a high-top model as well, so we'll expand on that in more detail in a bit. They also have some exciting new things coming for 2026 season, so we'll expand on that too. So as you can see, this particular model uses the side kitchen layout, and it's a very practical layout. We're not going to go into too much detail about the interior. We've got lots of Alfard sales videos where we take a closer look at the interior features, but suffice it to say, it has all you need. You've got a compressor fridge, a sink and twin burner hob, plenty of storage with cupboards, drawers, tambour door lockers and slide out cabinets, and all with positive locking catches. And as well as that, down here, brand new, it's still got the plastic on, you've got your chemical loo. You don't have to use that as a chemical loo area, but it's a useful place to store it. So there's lots going on in these interiors. Now, the key thing to note, and perhaps the most important thing, is how many Alfards they've converted. They're probably the UK's largest Alphard converter. They've certainly been doing it the longest, since 2012. And they've learned all the tricks along the way to make this interior really practical. Whereas people that come to the market new, they might not realise how to put a vehicle together as comprehensively and well as this. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of experience that goes into building an Alphard. And one thing that surprised me, and David wanted me to make a point of this, considering he also sells them, he said compared to the Elysian, the Honda Elysian, the Alphard is a much more practical vehicle, and that's why they ruled out converting on the Nissan Elgrand. They just felt the Alphard was a much better base vehicle, and since they've been converting the Granvia since 2002, have had fantastic reliability with that, they thought, well, it's a logical step to carry on with the bomb-proof Toyota. So that's why they chose Alphard in the first place. It's clearly been a good decision. They've sold an awful lot of them and continue to be one of the biggest manufacturers of Alphards in the UK to this day. So let's take a closer look at some of the things that make an Alphard special. Now, the other thing that's worth noting on a Wellhouse is that you have a lot of interior choice. So this particular one has a grey textured wood finish cabinets with a marble effect worktop, but you don't have to have that if you don't want it. There's 3 different worktop options, and I think there's 9 different cabinet options that you can select if you're having one freshly built. And it's the same with the flooring. I think you've got 3 flooring options too. This one has the what is it? I guess it's limed oak, I would say. So you can design the interior very much to suit you, or just take advantage of a ready-made one, because they always have ready-made ones in stock, and there's a good variation. They always mix up the interior trims, and I think they've got quite good taste in the main. So yeah, there's lots of options on buying it. So it's a bit like speccing a new vehicle or a new kitchen. It's quite an exciting part of the process. So while we're talking practicalities, all Wellhouse models come with, obviously they've got blinds in the back, but they also have silvered screens, insulated screens to seal off the cab area. And they also come with a mains hookup cable, a gas bottle, and a detailed owner's manual that explains exactly how all the bits and pieces work. So a lot of thought and attention goes into making sure it's an easy experience owning a Wellhouse. Now, the other thing that's worth mentioning, we mentioned having one built to order. We can also have one imported to order. So Wellhouse are always sourcing high quality Alfards in all different colours and flavours, but the most common ones are probably silver and grey ones. But if you want a special order one, like a pearl white, which is very popular over here and looks fantastic, a really cool Japanese colour, or perhaps you want a purple one, they do a lovely dark metallic purple, or a black, then speak to Wellhouse and get one custom imported. So if you want a black one with a grey interior, speak to Wellhouse and they'll source one for you. So in terms of drivetrain as well, there's a lot of options. The standard engine is a 2.4 litre petrol with 170 PS, and that's available in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. And they also offer a 3.5 litre V6 petrol with 280 PS, and that's also available in two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. I've driven that one. It's a bit of a monster, but great fun. So if you're thinking of replacing a sporty car and don't want a slow camper van, the 3.5 V6 is a great option. Silky smooth as well, having the multi-cylinder. The 2.4 litre is a four-cylinder. Still smooth, but the V6 just has that extra edge. So lots of options on base vehicle specification, lots of options on the conversion. Now the other thing, Wellhouse are all about tailoring a vehicle to the owner's preference. So there's lots of additional extras you can specify, from Gaslow refillable systems that allow you to use auto gas refilling, which is brilliant around Europe. There's a list published of UK filling sites, but that's a lot cheaper to refill than bottled gas, so a lot of people prefer that. Barbecue points you can have, upgraded multimedia systems. We've mentioned all the different interior trim colours you can opt for. There's a whole host of other options as well, from awning rails to tow bars, which can be used for bike racks or extra storage or towing small trailers, or you can have a dedicated bike rack. There's lots of options, lots of stereo options, lots of options on alarms, trackers, immobilizers, that kind of thing. So you really can personalise this vehicle to as you wish it to be, which is always a good point. So why pick an Alphard? Well, one of the reasons I'd always say is just because of the very car-like driving position of them. This one has the beige interior, but as we mentioned, you get all sorts of different interiors to suit your preference. Very adjustable car-like layout, so the steering wheel is adjustable for reach, so in and out, and rake up and down. So I like it far back. And then if I just fire it up, lots of bells and whistles as standard. It might speak to me in Japanese, this one, because it still has its Japanese radio fitted. And Wellhouse have lots of multimedia options, so if you want Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, not a problem, they can fit a system. Automatic gearbox, fantastically smooth on the Alfard. You can barely tell it. So I hope it didn't say anything rude in Japanese there. Perhaps our Japanese listeners can tell us on that one. But yeah, it's got all sorts of creature comforts in here. So all electric windows, all electric mirrors. They fold in as well. And of course they're all automatic, which is fantastic. It makes it silky smooth to drive. Really, really enjoyable. This particular one I'm in today has the 2.4 litre petrol, 170 PS, feels perfectly nippy out on the road, great vehicle. But if you obviously want a bit more power, then 280 PS 3.5 V6 petrol models are available.
Now, being petrols means you can go into low emission zones as well without having to pay an extra charge. So that's something that's well worth bearing in mind. Now, I've driven many camper vans over the years. The Alfard is one of the more car-like, and it also feels quite premium. I know in Japan the Lexus is built on the same platform as the Alfard, which is interesting. That tells you a lot about quality and refinement. So very quiet, very silky, very smooth, absorbs the bumps well, handles well, just very easy and civilised. I would say it's a lot more car-like than most of the European vans. So that's something to bear in mind if you want to replace a daily driver.
Now, I mentioned before that Wellhouse are an NCC approved converter. So you've got your LPG safety sticker on the back. And of course, you get all your gas and habitation electrical safety certificates provided with the vehicle. Now, the gas locker itself is a metal sealed gas locker. There's a removable hatch to switch it on and off, but it's all been done for safety and to meet all the relevant approvals. I'm not going to go into too much detail here because we have lots of detailed Alfard videos on all the individual specifications. This one has the electric bed system, so you push a button and it goes flat. And it also comes with other safety items. So you've got a proper CE approved mains hookup lead, an adapter for a 3-pin socket if you don't have a dedicated blue socket built into your wall of your house, tripod leg, and the table and table leg fit in there. You've also got a bit of useful storage, and obviously most people put their bedding here, or perhaps a mattress topper, but in all honesty you probably don't need it on this particular bed. It's quite plush as it is. So that's the rear. Modest amount of space, but obviously if you want a larger vehicle you'd probably go for something like a Ford Transit Custom, which also Wellhouse offer. But for its size, it's very compact. I'll put the dimensions up on screen, and it really does make one of the best Japanese campervan conversions. So what makes a Wellhouse conversion different? Well, for starters, all their conversions are compliant with the National Caravan Council's guidelines. They are an NCC approved manufacturer, and everything is of high quality. So the electrical system, for example, is a mass-produced system with full wiring diagrams, and it can be diagnosed at a later stage if you have any issues. It's not a made-up wiring loom on the fly. Equally, things like the compressor fridge, high quality Italian unit, rather than the much cheaper Chinese options, which may not be as durable in service. Wellhouse have been fitting these things for that many years. They know which products to buy and trust. Now, the other thing is the high quality cabinets they use. These are all made in-house on in-house CNC machines to a very high standard. They're edge bound for the worktops and the cupboard fronts, or knock-on edging in high traffic areas where they might get damaged and need to be replaced. So again, that's another sign of the experience that goes into a Wellhouse build. And it's the things you can't see which you've really got to pay attention to in a campervan build. Things like the water tanks. On a Wellhouse they use underslung fresh and waste tanks, not removable 10-litre containers inside the vehicle, which is the cheap way of doing it. And everything has to be thoroughly tested before it gets released to customers. So they've got a wealth of experience when it comes to construction. And it's a similar story with the bed system. This particular bed, it's in the cream option on this particular van. Alfards tend to be in either have the cream interior or the charcoal interior, and Wellhouse match the rear bed system fabric so that it looks the same as the cab seats, just so it looks a bit more factory. So these come with Isofix mounting points, so you can safely fit child seats securely. It's the best way to transport children, and they've got 3-point belts, and it's a proper tested seat system. The other thing, the latest Alfards now have an electrically folding bed system for maximum convenience and ease when you get on a campsite. Only a little thing, but it makes a big difference to comfort and ease of use in the vehicle. Now this particular one has the elevating roof, or the pop top if you will, and that comes, obviously you've got the fabric on either side, you've got a mesh window on both sides so you can get cross ventilation in summer, and also they let a bit of light in without letting bugs in. At the front of it there's a clear vinyl screen, which I've got the curtain open today to get a bit more light on me, and up top, now a lot of people ask about whether it's a proper 4-berth, and the answer is it depends. For small Japanese families, then yes, definitely a 4-berth. It has 4 3-point belted travel seats, so it has a matching number of berths, but for larger adults, the roof bed, which consists of basically, if you can see, I've got various panels here, they slide across and you do have a roof bed. I would suggest it's for 2 smaller adults, 1 larger adult, probably though better for children. So a couple of children will be very happy up here, and they do absolutely love roof beds. I remember when my son was little, it was just such an adventure climbing upstairs and mucking about in the roof bed. So that you do have that option, but I would view it more as a 2+2. I think that's the way to look at it. Now, one thing that I must mention is this particular roof, this particular conversion has the elevating roof, but they also have a high top option. Now, high tops have a number of advantages. In winter, the pop tops are not as well insulated. You can get some optional screens that go around it, and I would very much recommend getting a set of those if you want to use it in winter. But that's where the high top comes in. The high top, obviously, has a fiberglass roof extension built onto the vehicle. It's colour coded, so it all looks nice and neat, but it has obviously a layer of fiberglass, a layer of insulation, and it keeps the top a bit warmer. It retains the heat better in winter. So combined with the blown air heating, that can be a really good option for many people. The other benefit with a high top is you tend to get roof lockers and roof storage areas, so it gives you a little bit more options to put all your bits and pieces. The downside is it occupies the bed space, so you can't have a bed system with a high top. So it is an either or. If you need the flexibility of being able to get some panels in the pop top roof for occasional use or for children as extra berths, then go for the pop top option. Pop tops are probably the most common option in the main, but it all depends on how you wish to use the vehicle. If there's just 2 of you and you like using it all year round, then go for the high top. It's a better option. Now, the other news for the 2026 season is that Wellhouse are going to be offering 2 extra bed options. This is the normal 39 inch wide bed. They're also going to be doing a 48 inch bed, so quite a bit wider, and they'll be cutting into these kitchen cabinets. How the layout will work, we're not sure at this stage, whether it'll have angled cabinets or perhaps an L-shaped section at the front, not sure, that's still being designed, but it's for those people that just want that slightly wider bed. Equally, some people prefer a single bed, so they also do a single bed option, basically a bench seat on the left-hand side of the vehicle with a backrest over here, and that's in place of this travel seat. So obviously you will lose the 2 rear travel seats if you go for the side option, but some people prefer it because it keeps a walkway clear and they can access more cabinets down to floor level on the driver's side of the vehicle.
If you want to also retain the rear travel seats, there's also an option to have twin beds similar to those fitted to this Serena.
So 2 extra layout options just to give you maximum flexibility in picking your perfect Alphard. Another new feature for 2026 is this safety lockout switch. So if you open the cutlery drawer, switch this LED on, it illuminates green to tell you that there's power to this bed, electric bed switch. So we'll show you how that works now. So now the electric bed's active, all you need to do, you undo this security knob, pull the unit forward to take the tension off, and then just press a button. And then all you do is just pop it down flat and then pull across your bed system. So there we go, bed made up. Now this particular bed, this is just, I believe it's a £50 unit or so from IKEA. So actually, it doesn't take up a lot of room and very comfortable. Now I mentioned before that this is the narrower of the 2 bed systems, but actually it's pretty big. You know, I've got an arm's width, you know, and I'm probably the worst person to be doing compact vehicles. I'm 6'2", but I have plenty of room here. You can have the single bed, in which case you've got a walkway down here, or as we mentioned before, the extra wide bed is in development and will be available shortly. With the bed made up, you also have access to a storage locker, and there's also an upper locker which has all your fuses, just pan up, all your fuses, the consumer unit and the solar panel. So nice and easy to get to everything, even when the bed is made up. Now the other point to make, when the bed's made up, on some vehicles you don't have access to the fridge. You know, what's the first thing you want to do in the morning? Make a cup of tea or coffee, I think most people would say. Well, you can grab your milk from the fridge, fill the kettle up from the tap and get the hob on. And you've also got the swiveled passenger seat there, so you've got somewhere to sit if your other half wants to have a lie-in. So very flexible and practical layout that actually works for real people. It doesn't just look good in a brochure, it works really well. Now the other thing that's well worth noting, I've got the bed made up now, so that's set up for 2 people, set up as a double. There's a swivel seat on the passenger side, and with that swiveled round, actually I can put my feet up on the bed, which I really like. But also you've got room to get changed. I'll just show you if I come and pan down a bit here. So, you know, I've still got room to get changed.
There's also enough floor space to enable the loo to be used at night too.
And still, you know, get dressed and have a bit of space, which is surprising given how compact the vehicle is. And again, it's another one of those signs of attention to detail. Wellhouse have been doing this a long time. They know what customers want, so yeah, works really well. And I do like being able to put my feet up as well and admire the view. Always a good thing. So plenty of room in this bed, though you can get a wider one if you prefer. And look at all this room down here for getting changed in. And you have a great place to sit in the passenger seat. Now, to get the bed back into travel seat mode, just roll the mattress back out of the way. So just lift up the centre section to take the tension off, and then just press the button. And when it's all the way back, it slides into position and you just re-lock it with the securing knob. And with the bed in its travel seat position, you can see just how much lounge space you get. In fact, I'll just have to come backwards so you can see. So, oodles of floor space.
So this is why we think the Alfard is the ultimate Japanese campervan conversion on the market. But don't just take our word for it. Come and check them out for yourself at Wellhouse. We'd be happy to see you and show you around this great campervan. Wellhouse are also starting to take orders for the new 30 series of Alfard and Vellfire, and they'll start building these from late 2025. It's available with a 179 PS 2.5 litre 4-cylinder engine or a 3.5 litre V6 274 PS engine. Again, both are available with 2 or 4-wheel drive. So contact Wellhouse to check these out.